Two spacecraft that are orbiting Mars have spotted some early morning frost on volcanoes close to the planet's equator. You thought it was cold here?
Yeah, this is big news. Scientists had previously thought it was impossible for frost to exist on this part of the red planet. The European Space Agency's missions found the frost on the Tharsis Peaks, the tallest volcanoes in the solar system.
Well, we're joined now on the sofa by our friend Dr. Chris Copperwheat, who's an astrophysicist at Liverpool John Moores University. Good morning. How exciting is this then?
This is exciting. I mean, water on Mars is nothing new. We've known, of course, that Mars in the past was very wet. We see evidence of dried up riverbeds and dried up lakes and that sort of thing. Right now, there are frozen poles. There are lots of frozen deposits under the surface of Mars. But this was unexpected, this water cycle we're seeing here. So it's just like we see on Earth. You know, we all learned about the water cycle at school. We have these frosts condensing in the early morning, and then it evaporates. And it says something about the climate of Mars, the amount of water vapor there is held in the atmosphere, which really changes our understanding of the climate, which informs our understanding of both the potential for life now on Mars, but also human exploration, where we might go when we send humans to Mars.
OK, simple question. Does that mean it would be easier to try and establish life there, or harder?
Well, easier. I mean, when we see water, we look for signs of life near water, because we know that on the Earth you need water to survive. If we're going to go to Mars, ideally we will make use of the resources that are there when we get there. So 10 years ago, you might have said the most sensible place for humans to land on Mars would have been near the poles. Now it looks like, there is a significant amount of water around about the equator. It's much easier to land there. The climate's much better. You don't get the cold winters, the cold nights. So it makes the prospects of human exploration of Mars much easier.
You make it sound like you're selling us a holiday to Mars.
Yeah, much easier. It's this much easier thing, John.
Yeah.
I bet it's not that easy.
Nip to Mars.
It's still not super easy. I mean, would you go?
I mean,
it's a long trip. It's
now
many
I've heard
months.
it's frosty. I'm not
How
sure.
long's the trip?
Frosty ones. You're talking, sort of 8 months at least or more to get to Mars, and the same back again. So if you're going to Mars, you're going to be spending a long time there. You're not going to be there for a few days. So you're going to be setting up a presence for some time. So this is what I mean about wanting to make use of the resources when you get there. So there's a huge amount of water. So the water we're seeing condensing on these volcanoes is something like 150,000 tons every morning. We never thought it could happen because the sunlight is so hot at the equator. The atmosphere of Mars is very, very thin as well. So you don't get the kind of snowy peaks you get on the Earth, because we thought the ground was too hot. It doesn't get a chance to cool down because the atmosphere is too thin to carry the heat away. So this has completely changed our ideas about Martian climate, which is very exciting.
8 months. I mean, to be honest, the train from here to Bristol can take that on a bad day.
Or feel like
yeah,
it.
exactly. I'm kind of there. How come we haven't spotted this frost before then, Chris?
Well, it's a combination of having the right camera in the right place at the right time. So this is a new camera on a European Space Agency spacecraft developed by the University of Bern. It just happened to be in the right position in the equatorial zones, looking down at this time in the morning. So these frosts only last for a small amount of time. Once the sunlight hits them, again, they condense into a water vapor. So right place, right time, right camera.
OK, we don't associate volcanoes with frost normally, though, do we?
Not normally, no.
So how has that come about?
These are dormant volcanoes. These are high peaks, as we said earlier. These are the highest peaks in the solar system. Huge volcanoes dwarfing anything we see on the Earth. So like anything, you expect naturally them to be cooler at the top. But again, with Mars, we never expected these frosts, these sort of icy peaks as we see on the Earth.
It feels like we're learning more about Mars every year, that there's new discoveries, I guess new cameras, new insights.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we learn more about Mars, it's not just telling us about Mars, because what it's telling us about is planets in general, how they form, their history and so on. Mars is giving us an insight into planetary formation and evolution at a different time to what we see on the Earth. And of course, we don't also have the complicating factors of life and abundant water that we have on the Earth. So we're understanding something quite general about planetary formation in the solar system and beyond when we study Mars.
And one of the things that's incredible about this is, there are very specific routes that we're taking on, aren't we, in terms of exploration, but it's things that you find out by accident that can move science forward. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about science and nature. It's so rich, there's always something to find. So new technology, new cameras and exciting new collaborations with European partners lead to some wonderful discoveries, and there's so much untapped potential in the solar system, in Mars and elsewhere.
Go on, what are we waiting for? What would you love to find out next?
What I'd love to find out next. Well, I'm very excited about, there was a recent Chinese landing on the far side of the moon, which was a sample collection mission. So they're bringing back rocks from the far side of the moon. The first time we'd have seen rocks from the far side of the moon, you know, we'd be able to hold them in our hands. The geology of the moon on the far side is very different to the near side. So that, I think, is the next most exciting thing. But I don't know, too many things to count, really.
Too many rocks. Chris, thank you very much indeed. Always great to hear your insights. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Chris.